Good day everyone, I am Jason A. Sibas from BSed Science 2nd year. So for today's video, we will be discussing about the adding model, Bloom's taxonomy, and the Merrill's principles of instruction. So now let's start with the Addy's model. So Addy's model first is analysis. So identify the training need, what skills or knowledge are lacking. So you have to identify the needs of your students or the knowledge that they lack so that you can provide that knowledge. Next is plan the training or the design. So you have to plan the training, define learning objectives, assessment methods, and delivery methods. Next is the development. So it says here that next is development. So create the training materials. This includes presentations, handouts, exercise, and etc. So when you create these materials, you have to analyze the methods or the needs of your students. So next is the deliver the learning. Or the implementation. So deliver the training. This could involve classroom instruction, online modules, or on-the-job training. So this may be helpful to your students. Is evaluation. So evaluations, it says that measures the effectiveness of the training. Did learners achieve the objectives? What improvements are needed? So you have to check here if the learning objectives is already applied to your students. And the next is needs assessment. So a more detailed investigation into the training need, often involving surveys and interviews to understand the gap in knowledge or skills. And then next is the instructional strategy. So choosing the best teaching methods such as lectures, group work, simulations, or etc. suited to the learners and the training content. Next is content development. So creating the actual learning materials, ensuring they are clear, concise, and engaging. And then next is the pilot testing. So testing the training with a small group before full implementation to identify and fix any issues. So making this can help you analyze if your students have difficulties. So lastly is the revision and refinement. So making improvements to the training based on feedback from pilot testing and evaluation. So here you can see the before and after work of your students. Next is the Merrill's principles of instruction. So first is the connect to prior knowledge. So activation. So start by connecting new information to what learners already know. This helps make the new information more relevant and easier to understand. And the next is show, don't, just, tell is part of the demonstration. So show learners how to do something, not just what to do. Visual demonstrations and examples are key. So don't just talk at front, just do also. So next is the application. So hands-on practice is the key. So provide opportunities for learners to practice what they have learned. This reinforces learning and helps identify areas needing more attention. And then next is the integration or make it relevant. So connect learning to real-world situations and tasks. This makes the learning more meaningful and relevant. Example for this is when you bake a next is task centered. So focus on the specific skills and knowledge needed to complete the task. This makes the training more focused and efficient. And And then next is the learning by doing. So engage learners through hands-on activities, simulations, and other interactive methods. So this is the best things to do when you engage your students in the learner-centered approach. Next is show, don't just tell. So use visuals, demonstrations, and simulations to illustrate concepts and makes learning more engaging. So typically, if you show a slide or a text, also you will also show a visual that incorporate the text. And the next is the meaningful context, or place the learning within a realistic and relevant context to enhance understanding and retention. So this is important also, to place your students into a realistic and relevant context. So next is practice and feedback. So provide opportunities for practice with immediate feedback to improve performance and identify areas for improvement. So this is very crucial because you have to provide feedback. And the next is the assessment. So measure learner understanding and ability to apply what they have learned. This helps evaluate the effectiveness of the training. So also this is the important part, because this is the way to know if your students really understood. So next is the Bloom's taxonomy. So in the Bloom's taxonomy, the first level is remembering. So recalling facts, terms, concepts, and answers. Basic recall of information also. And then next is the understanding. So explaining ideas or concepts in one's own word, interpreting the information. So also explain and interpret is under understanding level. So next is applying. So using knowledge and skills to solve problems or complete tasks in new situations. So using knowledge and skills to show or to solve problems. Next is analyzing. So breaking down information into parts, identifying patterns, and making inferences. So you have to break down and identify those informations. And the next is evaluating or judge and critique. So making judgments based on criteria and standards, critiquing information. So of course, if you have to critique your students, you have to show them a rubrics so that they are aware. And the next is creating. So generating new ideas, products, or ways of viewing things, designing, constructing, and planning, and also producing. So yes. And the next is the knowledge, or similar to remembering, the ability to recall facts and basic informations. So it says here that basic information. So next is comprehension. So explain and summarize. So similar to understanding, demonstrating understanding by summarizing, explaining, or interpreting. So you have to, your students, or you identify your students if they are really comprehend your topic. And the next is solve problems. So similar to applying knowledge to solve problems or complete tasks. So earlier you give some realistic thoughts or ideas that they can apply here in application part. So Lastly is they analyze, evaluate, create under the higher order of thinking. So encompasses analyzing, evaluating, and creating complex cognitive processes requiring critical thinking and problem solving. So that's all with our discussion for today, and thank you for listening, everyone. I hope you will have a learning today.